In the village of Inquo, there lived a woman named Chioma. She was round like the full moon, with laughter that rumbled like distant thunder and a smile that could outshine the morning star. Chioma was famous not just for her size, but for her big, black pot, the biggest in the land, given to her by her late mother, Mama Nkechi. The pot was so large that 3 children could bathe in it, and yet, Chioma carried it on her head as if it were as light as a feather. Every market day, Chioma set up her stall under the ancient udala tree, where the air was thick with the aroma of spicy pepper stew, fried fish crisp as harmattan leaves, and boiled eggs so tender they melted in the mouth. Her yams, oh, they were the talk of 7 villages. Soft as a baby's cheek, white as the first light of dawn, and when dipped in her fiery stew, even the gods would pause to lick their fingers. One day, as the village buzzed with traders haggling and children playing, the great King Abina, ruler of the Amuoji kingdom, passed through Inquo. His nose, sharp as an eagle's sight, caught the scent of Chioma's yam and pepper stew. The king, a man of fine taste and a belly that showed his love for good food, stopped in his tracks. His royal guards, confused, nearly tripped over each other. Who cooks like the gods themselves in this humble market? King Abina boomed, his voice deep like the river Niger. The villagers, trembling in respect, pointed to Chioma, who was too busy laughing with her customers to notice the royal presence. The king, unused to being ignored, marched over, his coral beads clinking. When he reached her stall, he stared, first at the mountain of yam on her table, then at her, then at the pot that seemed to have no bottom. "Woman," he called, "how is it that your pot never empties?" Chioma, wiping sweat from her brow with the edge of her wrapper, chuckled. "Ah, my king, that is my mother's blessing. This pot cooks with love, and love never runs out." The king, intrigued, demanded a taste. With a mischievous glint in her eye, Chioma served him the biggest piece of yam, drenched in stew, with 2 fat pieces of fish on the side. The king took one bite, and his eyes rolled back in delight. "Wah, this is not food, this is magic." From that day, King Abina visited Chioma's stall every market day, each time with a new question. "Why does your stew burn my tongue but leave my heart cool? How do your eggs taste like they were laid by the golden hen of legend?" Chioma would only laugh and say, "Some secrets are best swallowed, not spoken." But not everyone was happy. The king's advisor, Shifu Gunna, a thin man with a face like sour milk, grew suspicious. "This woman is a witch," he whispered to the king. "No pot is bottomless unless it's cursed." The king, though fond of Chioma, began to wonder. One night, under a moon so bright it turned the village silver, Shifu Gunna sneaked to Chioma's hut. He peeked through her window and gasped. There was Chioma, singing softly to the pot, stirring nothing but air, yet the pot bubbled with stew. And then, a shadow moved inside the pot. A tiny, glowing figure peeked out, giggling before vanishing. The next day, Shifu Gunna spread the news. "Chioma is feeding the king with spirit food. She will poison him." The village erupted in fear. The king, torn between trust and doubt, confronted Chioma. "Is it true? Do you cook with witchcraft?" Chioma sighed, her round shoulders drooping. "My king, what I cook with is not witchcraft, it is memory." She lifted the pot and turned it over. Empty. This pot was my mother's. She was a woman of great love and greater hunger. Before she died, she whispered to it, "Feed my child even when I am gone." And so it does. The little spirit inside is not a demon. It is my mother's laughter, her love, her joy. That is why the food tastes like heaven. The king, humbled, fell to his knees. "Then you are not a witch, you are a blessing." Shifu Gunna, ashamed, begged forgiveness. Chioma, ever generous, handed him a piece of yam. "Eat, my brother. Even sour hearts can be sweetened with good food." The very next market day after Chioma became queen, the village was abuzz with excitement. Women balanced baskets of fresh okra on their heads, children chased runaway chickens, and the men argued over whose palm wine was the strongest. But something was different. Chioma's pot, usually bubbling with joy, let out a strange, low hum, like a bee trapped in a calabash. "Hum," Chioma muttered, stirring the stew with her big wooden spoon. "Mama Nkechi, are you upset today?" A tiny voice, like the whisper of leaves, floated from the pot. "Someone is coming." Before Chioma could ask more, the market gates flew open, and in marched a woman taller than a palm tree, with a neck ringed in gold and a glare that could sour fresh milk. "I am Queen Adana of the Njaba Kingdom," she announced. "And I have heard ridiculous tales of a yam seller who stole a king's heart with witchcraft." The crowd gasped. King Abina, who had been happily licking stew from his fingers, stiffened. "Adana? My childhood betrothed?" Chioma's spoon froze mid-stir. Betrothed? Queen Adana smirked. "Did he not tell you? Before you enchanted him, he was promised to me." She snapped her fingers, and her servants dragged forward a giant pot, even bigger than Chioma's, painted with strange symbols. "I challenge you, Yam Queen. Let us see whose cooking truly deserves a king." The villagers erupted. "Ooh, food war." The children cheered. King Abina groaned. "Adana, must we do this?" "Silence, Abina," Adana barked. "Unless you fear your new wife will lose?" Chioma wiped her hands on her wrapper and grinned. "Challenge accepted, but be warned, my pot doesn't like rivals." The two queens cooked furiously. Adana's pot hissed with exotic spices, while Chioma's bubbled with familiar warmth. But as Adana tossed in rare herbs, her pot suddenly shook, and a cloud of black smoke burst out, stinking like rotten eggs. The crowd coughed, waving their hands. "What trick is this?" Adana screeched. Chioma peered into her rival's pot and gasped. "Ah, you used udala leaves. Mama Nkechi always said they fight with pepper." Adana's face twisted. "Nonsense. My royal chef." Boom. Her pot exploded, splattering stew everywhere. The villagers screamed, ducking under tables, except for Chief Ugana, who got hit square in the face. "Again?" he wailed. Adana, covered in slop, pointed at Chioma. "You did this." But then, Chioma's pot glowed. Mama Nkechi's spirit, now visible as a shimmering figure, floated above it. "Foolish child," she said to Adana. "You cook with pride, not love. That is why your food fights you." Adana paled. A spirit?" King Abina stepped forward. "Adana, enough. Chioma won my heart fairly. And honestly, your stew did taste like anger." Defeated, Adana stormed off, vowing revenge. But as she left, Chioma called, "Wait." She handed her a wrapped yam. "No one leaves my market hungry." Adana hesitated, then took a bite. Her scowl softened. This tastes like my mother's cooking." Tears welled in her eyes. "How?" Chioma winked. "Love remembers." That night, as drums celebrated another victory, Chioma's pot hummed happily. But then, a tiny scroll popped out. King Abina unrolled it and read aloud, "Beware the silent eater." The villagers shivered. What does that mean? Just then, a shadow slithered past the firelight. A figure wrapped in dark cloth, watching, waiting.